Hi folks, just a brief interlude here between sailing trips. I'm at home and having to shoot the first part of our new adventure using my phone because I forgot my SD card on the camera, which is on the boat. Anyway, the big news is we're finally on the water after 3 years of refit of our 1979 Pacific Seacraft Orion. So let me rewind a little bit and tell you how we got to this point. It's been a long journey over space and time since buying our Pacific Seacraft Orion. And that was at about the time COVID started at the end of February 2020. And we drove that boat back 2,000 miles from Sarasota, Florida to the Denver area. And key to buying this particular boat is that it has a trailer. And to make it more complicated, we need to also buy a pickup truck to pull this. Now, the boat weighs 10,000 pounds, so we needed a beefy truck, so we settled on a 3/4-ton Silverado HD 2500. It has a 6.6 liter Duramax and an Allison transmission, and we were lucky to find that in the Sarasota area too. Now this was a tricky deal. We were hoping to buy the pickup that pull the boat, and we're hoping that it would not be sold before we flew down there to buy the boat at the same time. But we got lucky, great folks selling both truck and boat. And we were also lucky to have great winter weather at the end of February, early March with above normal temperatures, no snow, no ice, little wind. Pretty unique for that long stretch, almost 4-day trip. And shortly after we got home, things really shut down to COVID. But that was okay. I had a long list of to-dos on the boat anyway. Now, we've been sailors for decades and actually trailering boats for 43 years now, and we pulled a variety from dinghies on up to a Catalina 25, but this tow by far is the biggest. And the drive up from Florida, fortunately, was pretty easy. The rig was well balanced, truck easily pulled the trailer up all those miles, and then the long climb up nearly 3,000 feet at a 4 to 5% grade on I-70 up from Denver into the foothills. But it wasn't a trip without some incident. I had 2 blowouts. Now, trailer tires usually fail due to age rather than getting worn out from mileage. So check the sidewall on those tires for those last 4 digits of your DOT tire ID number. So the first 2 numbers are for the week of manufacture and the last 2 are for the year. And keep in mind, tires over something like 6 years old are getting close to retirement. Sorry for the bad pun, folks. Anyway, last year on our visit to Milwaukee and Racine area of Wisconsin, we made a goal to get back to the Great Lakes. Then our son put Oshkosh in our heads, the largest air show in the world. We all have a connection to aviation in this family. My younger son and I are private pilots, and all of us were in CAP at one time or another, and my wife still is. So when our son, living in Wisconsin, encouraged us to join him in Oshkosh for a long weekend at AirVenture this year, we thought, well, why not take the boat? So this year, along with 670,000 attendees at the air event, there were 13,000 RVs to house a number of those people, and many pilots tenting under wings of their aircraft. And then there was one boat. Of course, that's us. Now, the boat easily serves as an RV. It has a galley, sinks, pressurized water, places to sleep, and we have a composting head. And with those heavy thunderstorms on 2 of the nights up there with hail and high winds, there was no better RV to be in. Now, it was a full-out run to get the boat ready. Lots of late spring snow turned to record-breaking rain in June, with rain almost every day, and that slowed us down. But it did show me I had some leaks to address, including replacing leaky handrails. Nonetheless, we had a late July deadline to be in Oshkosh, and then there was indoor work to do, like getting familiar with wide load permits. So what are wide load permits? Most states require you to have a wide load permit if your vehicle or load is wider than 8 foot 6 inches. The width the width limit varies across the U.S. and even within some states by road. Lots of people don't bother to get a permit if they're close to that width limit of 8.6, and at 9'3", the Orion might very well slip by without getting stopped. And actually it did. From Florida to Denver, we didn't get stopped, and I didn't know about wide loads till I started reading about this. Anyway, I don't know what the legal and insurance issues would be if you got caught with an accident, but it's not a big deal to do the legal thing and get a permit. All you do is get online with the state's DOT website for wide loads. Make sure you have your measurements of width, length, and the height of your load or boat, and then the length of the trailer, along with the length of your pulling vehicle, pickup in this case. So you enter that in the forms, and in my case, I had to get permits for this run from Colorado to Nebraska, Iowa, and then Wisconsin. And the permit fees varied from $15 in Nebraska to $30 in Colorado. Now, these are for single trip permits. And they give you a window of time, a few days to do your trip, maybe a week or so window in case you have delays. And as for height, on my boat, the pulpit's the highest part of the boat, and I measured that at about 12, just under 12 feet high. And that's lower than most big commercial trucks, so I wasn't worried about hitting bottoms of bridges on the interstate. And in most states, there's a 13-foot 6-inch limit before your load becomes oversized. But off the interstates and major roads, you might meet up with a much lower bridge clearance. So one nice thing about the permits is that when you type in your expected route or the origin and destination for your route, and the software will figure out a route for you. But if you want to pick a route, you can do that. And the route clearance checker that's in software on these states will look for bridge clearances, and they'll let you know if there's a construction and scheduled closures also on your route. So here we go. This is the trails part of Trails and Sails. Leaving Denver in late July, it was terribly hot during the day, over 100 degrees Fahrenheit, and that held through most of Nebraska. And our truck's check engine light came on only 80 miles into the trip. My engine code scanner, which I happen to have with the truck, told me it was an EGR flag. So that's the exhaust gas regulator, and that's part of the air pollution control system on our 2013 truck. Sometimes, like in our case, when the truck has only gone a short ride, or on a short rides, I should say, over the past 2 years, the EGR might need cleaning. And I was hoping that by continuing on, it would clear itself. And after I cleared the code once more, about 100 miles later, indeed, I never saw that code again. And it's been running fine now for 1,500 miles later. Now, I hate driving a load like this at night. It's harder to see potholes, debris, animals crossing. And particularly around cities, you get a lot more potholes and debris. And road tends to be in worse condition around there. And then there's more sleepy drivers, too, out there. So despite that, we had to push on because of our deadline. We had a pleasant ride through Nebraska, and past midnight, we pulled over at a gas station truck stop in western Iowa and caught some shut-eye. And early in the next day, we headed out, and we reached Oshkosh by dusk. So Camp Stoller, where RVs park at Oshkosh, was extremely busy by the time we got there. We were latecomers. And it was really hard to find a place to park our RV. So we made a couple of trips through the camp and got a lot of stares and laughs about bringing a boat to an air show. But, well, what the heck? It's a good RV, and it proved its worth in those thunderstorms. Hey, and after those thunderstorms, we got a lot of comments like, did you guys know something about that rain that we didn't? Anyway, rain didn't last that long. Well, it wasn't really flooded, but it was pretty wet. Anyway, the show was terrific, with a variety of jets, vintage aircraft, and World War II aircraft, of course, home built, ultralights, EV planes, gyroplanes, car planes, and even a way to satisfy our interest in air and water at the seaplane base. Anyway, an overall good time. But the night show was amazing. I never saw fireworks shot from planes or attached to planes before, so that was captivating. So now with the air show over, a decision to make. We're not far from Lake Michigan, but Lake Superior now is a lot closer too. So coming up in the next video with my camera video back, I'll show you the squirrely launch sequence using this extender which has 2 pivot points. And then we'll see an expensive mast raising, sorting stuff out, getting the standing rigging up, and then our first sails into the lush islands and quaint lakeside towns of a beautiful Great Lake. So till then, we'll see you next time.